Welcome everybody, I'm a music nerd. In today's video, we're going to be talking about something different. We're going to be talking about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And I came up with a list of 25 of the most popular artists. And I will tell you whether I think they will or will not make the Hall of Fame later in their career. Now obviously the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is not the end-all be-all of an artist's legendary status. As we know, some of the most influential artists of all time still have not made the Hall of Fame after many years. Before I get into it, if you like this video, subscribe to the channel down below. And if you're a return subscriber, hit the notification bell to be alerted for new content. Alright, first artist, Kanye West. Yeah, I think he will make the Hall of Fame. My case for him is he has changed hip-hop for the past 25 years. He's probably one of the most influential artists. The case for him not to be in the Hall of Fame, Tool. I think they will get in the Hall of Fame. You know, my case for them is for the genre, they have become one of the most premier artists of the metal scene. Case for them not to make the Hall of Fame, not a big discography. Beyonce, yep, yeah, she'll be in the Hall of Fame. Case for her to get in the Hall of Fame, massive impact in the music world. You know, when she dropped Beyonce, that whole surprise album, a big artist never really done that before, and now everybody's dropping surprise albums. In the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame kind of likes trendsetters. Case for her not to be in the Hall of Fame. It takes a while for non-rock artists to get in for some reason. You know, Whitney Houston, Janet Jackson, it took a while for her to get in. So if it's gonna take a while for those artists to get in, Beyonce might have to wait a while. So she'll get in, but I don't think she'll be first ballot. Kendrick Lamar. I think that if he keeps it up, yes, I think he will eventually be in the Hall of Fame. Case for him to go in. He's had 3 classic albums and he won a Pulitzer Prize. Case for him to not get in the Hall of Fame. You know, like I said, the Hall of Fame with non-rock artists, they can be a little weird with that. Maybe he'll have to build on his repertoire a little bit longer for him to get in the Hall of Fame eventually. Jay-Z, yeah, yeah, he's gonna get in. Case for him to get in the Hall of Fame. I mean, so many classic albums, huge influence in music, countless top 10 hits, Grammy Awards. Yeah, just, I mean, it's Jay-Z. Case for him to not to get in, it's not really a case. This is gonna be a tough one. I think for her impact, I mean, her success, she has maybe 14 or 15 #1 hits. That's just astounding. I think she will be in the Hall of Fame. Cases for her to get in the Hall of Fame, tons of #1 hits. Cases for her not to be in the Hall of Fame, she's not as critically acclaimed. I mean, I think Anti was a great album, and I think it got her, you know, kind of the critical acclaim that she hasn't gotten in a while. And I think if she continues on that trajectory, I think that's gonna boost her resume to get in even sooner. Lady Gaga, yeah, I think she's gonna get in the Hall of Fame. Cases for her to get in the Hall of Fame, worldwide success, concert sellouts, devoted fan base. You know, the old school people love her, the new school people love her, so I think that's gonna be enough for her to get in. Cases for her not to be in the Hall of Fame, she doesn't really have a classic album. I think if she makes a classic album within the next 5 to 10 years, I think that she'd probably be first ballot. Korn, I think they will get in. They're probably one of the most premier new metal bands, and they've had tremendous success. Cases for them not to be in the Hall of Fame, they kind of represent a genre that's not popular among true rock fans. I mean, I think true rock and metal fans kind of look down upon the new metal thing. They kind of think the whole rap rock thing is kind of silly. Whether they get in or not, they're kind of in the bubble. But I won't be surprised if they don't get in, but I won't be surprised if they do get in as well. Daft Punk, yeah, I think they're going to be in the Hall of Fame. Their influence on electronic music cannot be overstated. They basically were one of the bands that took electronic music into the mainstream. A lot of the EDM, dubstep bands, you know, like deadmau5 and Skrillex, Steve Aoki, they all look to Daft Punk as the OGs. And they have classic albums. Cases for them not to be in the Hall of Fame, not enough in their discography. They only made 4 albums in the past 20 years. Taylor Swift, you know what, I think she will get in. The case for her to get in the Hall of Fame, one of the most popular artists that we've had in the past 20 years. Cases for her not to be in the Hall of Fame, country, I feel like this is gonna be the theme, like country, pop were her main genres. Weezer, I don't know if they're gonna be in the Hall of Fame. Somehow, some way, they've been one of the bands from the 90s. They just find a way. They're like cockroaches. They just don't go away. They just keep finding a way to stay relevant. Cases for them to be in the Hall of Fame. Blue Album, it's a classic album. Pinkerton has its fans. They have stuck around in the past 25 years. You know, those 40-year-old California boomers, they're not gonna make music themselves. You know, Weezer's gotta do it for them. Cases for them not to be in the Hall of Fame. You know, they've dropped some bad albums, some corny songs. The Africa cover was, their discography can't be hit or miss. Queens of the Stone Age, I think they will get in. It's gonna take them a while, 25 years, and they still manage to be relevant. Case for them not to be in the Hall of Fame, I don't think they have that classic. You know, they do have good albums, great albums. Do they have bona fide classics? I don't know. Jack White, White Stripes, yeah, definitely Hall of Fame. As a solo artist, I mean, he's fairly new. It'll take some time. We'll see how his solo career turns out. Cases for him to be in the Hall of Fame. Tons of classic albums, tons of classic songs. Seven Nation Army. Like I said, you gotta have songs and albums that like everybody knows. Cases for them not to be in the Hall of Fame. They're only around for 10 years. Black Keys. That's a tough one. I say no. They're gonna be waiting a while if they do get in the Hall of Fame. Definitely not gonna be first ballot. They have put out some great albums. Cases for them not to be in the Hall of Fame. Like I said, you gotta have that classic album that everybody knows, everybody talks about. Coldplay. Yeah, I mean, as much as I hate to say it, I think they will be in the Hall of Fame. Cases for them to be in the Hall of Fame. Their songs, everybody knows. Clocks, Yellow, Viva La Vida. Cases for them not to be in the Hall of Fame. It's not a lot of cases for them not to be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, personally, they don't really write, you know, a lot of great, memorable songs. I could see them being first ballot. Point blank, they're gonna be in the Hall of Fame. I just won't be watching their ceremony. Foo Fighters, yes, definitely Hall of Fame. Cases for them being in the Hall of Fame. Dave Grohl, going from Nirvana and basically creating the first album was by himself, but going from that to what the Foo Fighters have become, tons of platinum selling albums and managing to stay relevant and sell out stadiums. Cases for them not to be in the Hall of Fame. They don't really have that bona fide classic that everybody knows. Beck, yeah, cases for him to be in the Hall of Fame. Lots of classic albums and just a career that's just been so unique. Has covered many genres. Odelay is his probably most recognizable album. It's one of the best albums of the 90s, but also making Sea Change. His career has still been going strong. Nobody's had a career quite like Beck. Case for him not to be in the Hall of Fame, I honestly don't think there's any cases. Yeah, he's gonna get in. That's a good one. Vampire Weekend. Still early. I think they will eventually get in the Hall of Fame. In my opinion, they've gotten 4 for 4. If they keep on with their trajectory, kind of like Kendrick, if their next 10 years is as good as their first 10 years, they're going to get in the Hall of Fame. Case for them not to be in the Hall of Fame if they just break up. Gorillaz. I think they will get in the Hall of Fame because I think their career has been very unique. You know, the fact that the band's like been animated and you know, multi-genre. You know, they are a rock band, but they've dabbled in different genres over the years, and they're still a very successful and popular band to this day. They have a very devoted fan base, so I think that'll be their case to get in the Hall of Fame. The biggest case for them not to be in the Hall of Fame, I don't know. I can see the Hall of Fame kind of saying, oh, this is kind of like a gimmick band. Arcade Fire, yes, they will get in the Hall of Fame. They have classic albums. Funeral is one of the most critically acclaimed albums of the millennium. The Suburbs is going to be regarded as a classic album. I mean, Reflector was decent. Didn't really like their last album. If they stop with this disco reggae sound that they're doing, they go back to their roots, then I think their resume will be better for them to get in the Hall of Fame. Bjork. I mean, I can't believe she's now in the Hall of Fame already. Yeah, cases for her being in the Hall of Fame. I mean, one of the most unique, influential artists of the past 25 years. Biggest case for her now to be in the Hall of Fame. Like I said, in the same case of the Gorillaz, I think the Hall of Fame kind of looks at artists like that. Very fringe on the mainstream, very challenging music. She doesn't really have that song or album that everybody knows about. Adele. I think if she continues to be this popular in the next 10 years, yeah, I think she will be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, 21, 25 are two of the biggest albums of all time. Rolling the Deep, Hello, just smash singles that everybody knows, which is something that the Hall of Fame really likes. Case for her not to be in the Hall of Fame if she just retires right now. She's only put out 3 albums in the past 10 years, so I think she needs to do a little bit more. Justin Timberlake, yeah, I think he'll be in the Hall of Fame. Biggest case for him to be in the Hall of Fame, just a long career, tons of memorable songs that everybody knows about, tons of #1 hits. Biggest case for him not to be in the Hall of Fame, it's tricky. If you're a non-rock, bubblegum, pop act, you know, they kind of look down on that a little bit, but I think he will get in eventually. Drake, I think he will be in the Hall of Fame. This is an interesting situation because it is my biggest case for him to get in the Hall of Fame. What he has done hasn't been done before, and I don't think it's ever going to be done again. I mean, a near constant presence in the Billboard for the past 12 years. Nobody's ever done that. I mean, he's doing things that the Beatles, Michael Jackson has never done. I mean, literally 12 straight years of Drake being one of the top artists in pop music. Biggest case for him not to be in the Hall of Fame. Doesn't really have that classic album that everybody knows about. You know, Jay-Z has a couple, Kanye has a couple, Kendrick has a couple, and I think that Drake, Take Care is probably as close as he's gonna get. Those are my thoughts about who's gonna make the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or not. But leave a comment below. Tell me what you think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Who do you think who's popular right now will eventually get in the Hall of Fame? Continue to like, support, subscribe to the channel. I love each and every one of you. And until next time, peace.